If you asked me what moment changed my life forever, I wouldn't even hesitate. It was the night I stood under a flickering red light on the loneliest street in the city, offering up the last piece of my dignity, only to meet him. Him, the man. The richest billionaire in the country. A man whose mere glance could silence a room. And me? That night, I was just a broke, desperate girl standing at the edge of everything she used to believe in. Part 1, the night I sold my dignity. I remember the rain. It wasn't gentle. It hit hard, soaking through my thin sweater and running down my back in icy streaks. I was standing under the rusted tin roof of an abandoned market on the east end of the city, pretending it was shelter. But it couldn't protect me, from the weather, or from what I was about to do. My fingers clutched the hem of a short dress I borrowed from someone I barely knew. I kept scanning the street, waiting for someone to stop. To notice me. To offer me something. 3 days earlier, the hospital had called. My brother, Eli, was in critical condition. Kidney failure. Immediate surgery, or we'd lose him. He was 22. He had been taking care of me since we lost our parents. And now it was my turn to take care of him. But I had nothing. 2 semesters of unpaid tuition. 3 months of rent overdue. And exactly $2.31 left in my account. I tried everything. Waitressing. Cleaning jobs. Begging friends. Selling off the few things I had. Even made a desperate post online. No one helped. So I stood there, shivering. Waiting. And then, a car appeared. A black Rolls-Royce, smooth and silent, pulled up beside the curb. The window slid down. A man in a dark suit looked at me, expressionless, evaluating. I braced for the worst. An insult. A laugh. A door slammed in my face. Instead, he nodded once, and opened the back door. I leaned in. And I saw him. White shirt. No tie. A platinum watch on his wrist. Hair tousled just enough to seem effortless. He looked young, but his eyes, God, his eyes, held lifetimes. No lust. No cruelty. Just curiosity. And something I couldn't name at the time. Loneliness, maybe. I need someone to talk to tonight, he said, voice low and steady. How much? I swallowed hard. My first time. 200, I whispered. He nodded like it was nothing. The door closed behind me. And the car moved. Not toward some sleazy hotel like I'd expected. But into the heart of the city. To a skyscraper that pierced the clouds. The Mercer Tower. I had no idea. I was stepping into a story that would change my life forever. Part 2, The Stranger on the 77th Floor. The elevator moved so silently it felt like falling through space. I stood next to him, close enough to smell his cologne, a soft blend of cedarwood and something darker I couldn't name. He didn't look at me, didn't speak. He just stared straight ahead, hands in his pockets, as if I were invisible. But I felt his presence like a storm. When the elevator stopped at the 77th floor, the doors opened to a vast, glass-walled penthouse. It was nothing like I'd ever seen. White marble floors stretched endlessly. A grand piano rested near the window. Shelves of books lined one side. The lights were warm, but the space felt cold. Untouched. Come in, he said, walking ahead of me. I followed, heart pounding. Sit anywhere you like, he added, loosening the top buttons of his shirt as he walked toward the bar. I perched on the edge of a couch worth more than my life. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed me one, then sat across from me, arms resting casually, his gaze finally meeting mine. What's your name? I hesitated. Callie? It wasn't my real name. But girls like me don't use real names in situations like this. He raised an eyebrow, but didn't question it. And you? I asked, more to fill the silence than out of curiosity. Does it matter? I shrugged. Probably not. But I like to know who I'm disappointing. He chuckled, soft and unexpected. It made something flicker in his eyes. You're not here to disappoint me, Callie, he said. I just needed silence. The kind that comes from a stranger who expects nothing. I didn't understand it then. But I listened. For the next hour, we sat there. Talking. Not about anything important, just random things. Books. Cities we'd never been to. The rain. He told me he didn't sleep much. That silence was the only thing that calmed him. That lately, even silence had stopped working. At one point, he asked, "Why did you do it?" My stomach dropped. Do what? Come with me. You didn't look like the others. I stared down into my glass. The truth burned more than the alcohol. My brother's dying, I whispered. He needs surgery. And I've got nothing left to sell except myself. He didn't react. No pity. No horror. Just silence. Then he got up, walked to the window, and looked out over the city. I thought he was done with me. I prepared myself to leave, embarrassed, humiliated. But then he said, "How much does the surgery cost?" I blinked. 20,000. He didn't even flinch. I'll wire it to you. Tonight. I stood up, shaking. What? Why? What do you want? He turned slowly, his eyes locking onto mine like gravity. Nothing, he said. I laughed, a bitter, broken sound. No one gives something for nothing. He stepped closer. You're wrong. And just like that, I realized I wasn't in control of this story anymore. He was. Part 3, the man who owed me nothing, and gave me everything. I didn't sleep that night. After he transferred the money, yes, really did it, within minutes, I sat frozen on the edge of his leather couch, staring at the message from the bank on my cracked phone screen. Incoming transfer, $20,000. Memo for Eli. Get him better. I felt dizzy. No one in my life had ever saved me. Not my absent father. Not the teachers who watched me fade at school. Not the friends who slowly drifted away the poorer I got. Not the systems that were supposed to catch girls like me before we hit the ground. But this stranger. This man. Did it without even asking for my real name. He didn't touch me that night. Didn't ask to. Didn't even look at me like I was something to take. He just walked me to the elevator, pressed the button, and when the doors opened, he said, "If you ever need silence again, come back." And then he turned and walked away. I didn't expect to see him again. I paid for Eli's hospital deposit the next morning. I remember the nurse staring at me like I'd just robbed a bank. "Cash?" she asked, skeptical. "Yes," I whispered, "please just help him." That same week, I scraped together what was left of my tuition. Barely enough to keep my seat in class. And then life moved on. Or, it tried to. But he was in my head. That man in the penthouse, with eyes like winter and a soul made of locked rooms. I didn't even know his name. Not really. Until 2 weeks later, when I saw his face on the news. Logan Mercer, CEO of Mercer Holdings, announces major charity initiative. The anchor called him the most powerful bachelor in America. The youngest self-made billionaire in state history. A man no one really knew. A man everyone wanted. And I had sat across from him barefoot, with wet hair and trembling hands, offering my soul for a few dollars. I felt sick. I also couldn't stop thinking about him. Every night, I found myself watching the city skyline, trying to figure out which window was his. Wondering if he still needed that silence. Wondering if I'd ever hear his voice again. Then, one day, a car pulled up outside my campus library. A black Rolls-Royce. The same driver. The same silence. He rolled down the window just enough to say, "Mr. Mercer would like to see you." And just like that, I went back. Part 4, back to the tower. I should have said no. I should have walked away, let the fairy tale end at a single, unbelievable act of kindness. But I couldn't. Not when my heart started racing just from hearing his name. "Mr. Mercer would like to see you." 6 words, and I was already in the car. The driver didn't speak, just like the first time. The city blurred past the window, a swirl of lights and motion I couldn't focus on. All I could think about was him. Logan Mercer. The man who gave me $20,000 and asked for nothing in return. The man who haunted my thoughts every night. When the elevator opened on the 77th floor again, the door to the penthouse was already open. He was standing by the window, same as before, back turned, looking out over the skyline like he was trying to find something that never existed. He didn't turn when he heard me. "I wasn't sure you'd come," he said. I closed the door behind me. I wasn't sure either. Silence stretched between us like a tightrope. Then he finally turned. He looked tired. Not physically, but in the way people look when they carry the weight of too much money, too many secrets, and not enough people to trust. His suit was navy today. No tie. Still barefoot. "I don't sleep much," he said. "I remember." He walked to the bar, poured 2 drinks, just like the first time. Only this time, he sat next to me. Close enough for our knees to touch. We didn't talk about the money. Or my brother. Or why I was there. He asked me about school instead. About literature. Philosophy. He listened when I spoke, like no one else ever had. And when I asked about his past, he gave me pieces. Just fragments. "No one's ever quiet around me," he said at one point. "They either want something, or they pretend not to. But you sit in the silence like it belongs to you." I didn't know what to say to that. Because the truth was, I had nothing left to offer him but quiet. He didn't touch me that night either. But before I left, he walked me to the door, paused, and reached into his pocket. He pulled out a simple silver key. "This is for the elevator," he said. "So next time, you don't have to wait for me to call." I stared at the key in my hand. Next time. He wanted a next time. And somehow, I did too. Part 5, The Girl with a Key to His World. I didn't use the key right away. For 3 days, I kept it buried at the bottom of my bag, tucked beneath crumpled receipts and worn notebooks, as if I could hide the temptation it carried. But every time I touched it by accident, something inside me shifted. He gave me a key. Not to a hotel room. Not to a hidden place. But to his home. Who does that? Especially someone like Logan Mercer, a man with walls higher than his skyscraper, who barely spoke more than 10 words to the world but gave me his silence like a gift. And I missed him. God help me, I missed the way he looked at me without undressing me. Missed the stillness I felt next to him. The strange safety in the center of so much power. So on the 4th night, I went back. I stood at the base of Mercer Tower, the key in my hand, debating everything. Then I stepped into the elevator, swiped it, and let it carry me up 77 floors into a world that still didn't feel real. The doors opened silently. The lights were dimmed low, as if he was already expecting me. And he was. He sat alone at the piano this time, a glass of scotch on top of it, fingers gently pressing the keys, but not enough to play. Just touching them, like he was remembering a sound he once knew. He didn't look surprised when I walked in. "You came," he said, softly. I nodded, stepping into the room. "You left me a key," I replied. It felt rude not to use it. He smiled, just barely, but it was the first time I saw something close to light behind his eyes. I don't give out many of those. I figured. We sat for hours again. Talking. Not talking. Existing. I asked him why he never played. He said, "Because the person I used to play for is gone." There was a sadness to him that night, deeper than before. He didn't say what happened. Didn't need to. I could see it, etched into his silence like scars that had never quite healed. Without thinking, I reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. And for the first time, his fingers closed around mine. It wasn't romantic. Not yet. It wasn't lust. It was something aching. Something honest. Something that said, I see you, and I don't want to be alone anymore. Neither did I. When I left that night, he walked me to the elevator again. But this time, he didn't give me another key or say goodbye. He just whispered, "Come whenever you need to breathe." And I knew I would. Part 6, A Breath in a World That Never Sleeps. I started going there often. Not every night, just when the world felt too loud, too fast, too hopeless. Which meant most nights. He never asked why. Never questioned when I slipped into his penthouse like a shadow, curled into the corner of his couch, and said nothing. Sometimes he'd be reading. Sometimes standing at the window. But he'd always acknowledge me with a glance. A slight nod. As if my presence mattered. And slowly, it began to change. One night, I found a blanket folded neatly beside the couch I always used. Another time, there was hot tea waiting on the table before I even spoke. Little things. Thoughtful things. Things that meant more than any kiss could. We still hadn't touched beyond that one moment at the piano. But something was happening between us. Not a spark. A slow fire. One that burned quietly, from the inside out. Then came the night everything shifted. It started like every other. I'd just left Eli at the hospital. He was recovering better than I could have hoped, and the nurse had smiled for once. I wanted to share that with someone. I didn't have anyone else. So I went to the tower. But when the elevator doors opened, I stepped into tension so thick it felt like walking into a storm. Logan was on the phone, pacing, his voice low, but sharp. "I don't care what board members think," he said. "This isn't about optics. It's about people." Silence. Then a colder tone, "And if they don't like it, they can sell their shares and get out." He ended the call without noticing me. Or maybe he had. But he didn't look up. I stayed quiet, unsure what to do. Then he turned. His eyes landed on mine, and for the first time, he looked defensive. "You heard that?" he asked. I nodded, cautious. "Are you okay?" He ran a hand through his hair. "Some people in my company think I'm distracted lately." He didn't say it, but I felt it. They were blaming me. A nobody. A broke girl with nothing but debt and shadows. And yet, here I was, in his world. Taking up space that wasn't mine. Breathing air that wasn't meant for people like me. I started to pull away, suddenly self-conscious. Maybe I shouldn't keep coming. But before I could finish, he crossed the room in 3 strides and took my face in his hands. "You don't get to decide that," he said quietly. "Not them. Not the board. Not even you." I froze. It was the first time he ever touched me with intention. And I felt it in every part of me. "You're the only place I feel human, Callie," he whispered. "Don't take that from me." My breath caught. My heart slammed against my ribs. "I won't," I said. But in that moment, I also knew. His world was not built to make space for girls like me. And soon, it would start fighting back. Part 7, Whispers Behind Glass Walls. The next time I came to the tower, something felt different. The receptionist downstairs, who had always ignored me, looked up sharply when I passed. Her eyes narrowed, just for a second. But it was enough. People had noticed. And I was no longer invisible. I used the key. Walked into the elevator. Tried to steady my hands. Logan was waiting at the piano again, as if he had been since the last time I left. Only this time, he smiled the moment he saw me, and that smile undid every knot in my chest. "You always look like you're holding your breath when you walk in," he said. "Maybe I am." Then exhale. "You're safe here." He said it like a promise. But I didn't believe in promises anymore. I sat beside him, close enough that our shoulders touched. And for the first time, he played. The melody was haunting. Not pretty. Not polished. But honest. Like him. When the last note faded, he looked at me. "I don't know what this is," he said. "But I don't want it to stop." I wanted to say the same. Instead, I reached for his hand again, and this time, when he intertwined his fingers with mine, he didn't let go. That night, I stayed. No, not in that way. Not yet. He never even tried. We lay on the couch, side by side, fully clothed. His arm around me. My head on his chest. I listened to the rhythm of his heart, wondering if it beat faster because of me. And for the first time in years, I fell asleep feeling warm. Wanted. Like I belonged somewhere. But peace is fragile in a world built on money and power. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight pouring through the glass, and Logan's phone ringing nonstop. He tried to silence it. But I saw the name flash across the screen before he could flip it over. Charlotte Kingston, Mercer PR. A voice came through the speaker. He must have answered by accident. "You need to control this, Logan. There are photos. From the lobby. She's been seen entering multiple times at night. We can't stop it anymore. Either make a statement. Or make her disappear." My stomach turned to ice. He stared at the phone in horror. And then at me. I sat up slowly. The warmth of the night before already dying between us. "I didn't ask for this," I whispered. "I didn't want any of this." "I know," he said. "But they won't care. They'll paint you however they want. And what will you do?" I asked, quietly. He didn't answer. And that silence hurt more than anything else. Part 8, The Girl in the Headlines. I left before he could answer. Walked out of that tower without a coat, without shoes, without even looking back. My chest was burning, but I kept moving. Because if I stopped, if I let myself feel, I would have shattered right there in the marble hallway. By the time I got home, my phone had already started buzzing. Messages. Missed calls. A dozen links. I opened one. Billionaire Logan Mercer spotted with mystery girl, is the city's most eligible bachelor off the market. The photo showed me from behind, walking into Mercer Tower at midnight. Another captured us through the glass, a silhouette of two figures close, intimate. They didn't know my name. Not yet. But they would. And when they did, the headlines would get worse. Escort? Student? Gold digger? Who is the girl Logan Mercer's been hiding? I dropped the phone like it burned me. How did everything beautiful turn to poison this fast? The next day, I didn't go to campus. I couldn't face the looks. The whispers. The girls who would call me lucky. The ones who would call me worse. I didn't answer Logan's calls either. Not the first, not the 10th. I couldn't tell if I was more afraid of the world outside, or of what he might say. Because here's the truth. When people like me get too close to people like him, they always end up paying for it. That night, there was a knock at my door. Not security. Not press. Him. Logan. Wearing a hoodie, with no car, no bodyguards. Just himself. "Can I come in?" he asked. I wanted to say no. I needed to say no. But I stepped aside. He looked around my apartment like it was a foreign planet. The peeling wallpaper. The second-hand furniture. The stack of overdue bills on the kitchen counter. This was who I really was. And he saw it all. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice lower than usual. "I should have protected you." I stared at him. "You said I was safe there. In your world." But I wasn't, Logan. I was a secret. A headline. A scandal waiting to happen. He didn't deny it. Didn't defend himself. "I'm not good at this," he said quietly. "Not relationships. Not emotions. I don't know how to do love in front of people. And then, his voice cracked, just a little. But when I'm with you, I'm not cold. I'm not angry. I feel like I exist. Tears hit my eyes before I could stop them. Then why are you ashamed of me? He stepped closer. I'm ashamed of them. Of the world that would tear you apart just for sitting next to me. I looked at him, really looked at him. And I saw it. The fear. The regret. The longing. He wasn't a god in a tower anymore. He was just a man. In love with a girl he wasn't allowed to love. And maybe I was still in love with him too. Part 9, The Cost of Being Chosen. For a long time that night, we just sat in silence. No headlines. No glass towers. No fortune between us. Just Logan on my second-hand couch, and me curled beside him like I had in that penthouse, except here, nothing was polished. Nothing was protected. He held my hand like it was the only real thing in his life. And maybe it was. I can fix this, he said softly, as if convincing himself more than me. How? I whispered. Issue a press release. Buy every tabloid? Pay them to forget me. He didn't answer. Because we both knew, this wasn't a scandal that could be bought away. I was poor. Unknown. Ordinary. And he was Logan Mercer. Every part of his life was branded, owned, monitored. If he chose me, really chose me, it would cost him everything. And it might destroy me in the process. But he didn't flinch. I'll take the fall, he said. I'll say I pursued you. That I lied. That it was me. Why? Because you're not a mistake, he said. You're the only thing in my life that isn't. And that broke me. Not the words, but how much he meant them. I wanted to believe we could survive this. That love could outrun wealth, status, scandal. But I had lived in the real world for too long. So I said the hardest thing I've ever had to say. Let me go. His whole body stilled. No. You have too, I said, tears burning down my cheeks. They'll destroy me, Logan. And they'll ruin you. I don't care. But I do, I choked. I care if you lose everything. I care if I'm the reason they turn on you. His voice cracked. I don't want a world without you in it. I stood up, trembling. I'll still exist, I said, just not in your spotlight. Not in your headlines. He rose, grabbed my wrist gently. Callie? Don't, I whispered, backing away. Don't make this harder. He looked at me like he was trying to memorize everything, my face, my breath, my silence. Then I placed the elevator key in his palm. Goodbye, Logan. And I walked away. Not because I didn't love him. But because I did. Part 10, The Skyline Without Him. Weeks passed. I went back to being invisible. No more black cars waiting outside my building. No more elevator keys. No more late-night silence wrapped in the warmth of his voice. The headlines faded. They always do. The city found someone new to devour. And I disappeared just like I said I would. Eli was getting stronger every day. He asked about the man who'd saved him once, the friend who wired money without a name. I told him it was someone kind. Nothing more. I didn't mention the way my heart still beat in patterns shaped like Logan Mercer's name. I didn't say that every time I passed the skyline, I looked for the light on the 77th floor and wondered if he was there, awake, alone, holding silence like it was a person. One night, Eli brought me an envelope. It was in the mailbox, he said. No name. Just my address, handwritten. Inside was a newspaper clipping, folded, worn. Logan Mercer to step down as CEO. Sources say he plans global education initiative. There was a quote taped beside it, written in his handwriting. If the world won't make room for the girl I love, I'll build her a new one. My breath caught. Below the note was a plane ticket. One way. To Florence. Departure, midnight. I stared at it like it was burning through my hands. This wasn't just an invitation. It was a second chance. But I hesitated. I'd told him goodbye. I'd made peace with disappearing. What if I went? And he didn't want me anymore? What if this was a dream I didn't deserve? Then I remembered something he once said, "You sit in the silence like it belongs to you." Maybe it did. So I packed a bag. Wrote Eli a letter. Got in a cab. And at 11:47 p.m., I walked into the terminal with shaking hands and a heart I wasn't sure could survive another break. At the gate, I almost turned around. Until I saw him. Not in a suit. No entourage. Just jeans, a soft gray sweater, and the kind of expression people wear when they've been holding their breath for too long. He walked toward me like gravity. "You came," he whispered. "You gave me a reason," I said. He didn't kiss me. He didn't need to. He just took my hand, slow, certain, like he was afraid I'd vanish again, and said, "Let's go build the kind of world where we both belong." And this time, I didn't let go.